A question on weighted average. 38 students take a test. Maximum marks are 100. Passing marks are 35. If the average marks of all the 38 was 78 marks, find the maximum number who could have failed. An easy question to comprehend. The last line may not make a lot of sense as of now to some students. Maximum, it usually scares people off. Don't worry, things will unravel as we understand this. At least the first 3 lines are easy to understand. It can be solved by multiple ways, and each way has its own wow factor. One of the way I've already solved it in the blog article. The link is in the description. I'll solve it by 2 more ways now. But for these ways to make sense, it's better that you read that blog article. Yeah, it will sort of ease the process. Here I'm just going to do the bare minimum now. So I'm going to solve this question first using a weighted average, the other form of weighted average, that is alligation. So in alligation there are 2 groups and there's an average of both the groups combined. So obviously both the groups combined here is all the students, and the average of that is 78 marks. Now the 2 groups, one of the group is obvious, the group of students who have failed, and those who have failed would have scored less than 78 marks. So in fact less than 35 marks. So this is the entire group put together, the average of them. Okay, so the average of the first group, and it will be less than 35 and hence on the left. Now the other group will obviously be the group of students, those who have passed. Now those who have passed, there would be different marks that they would have scored. Some of them might have scored 35 passing marks, 36, 37. Some of them would have even scored in between 35 and 78. But then there would definitely be someone who has scored more than 78 also. Or else how can the average be 78? If everyone is less than 78, how can the average be 78, right? So there will be someone more. Now taking all these past students, their average is this A2. And all of them put together, the average is going to be more than 78. Because if this average was also less than 78, then one group has an average of less than 35, another group has an average of less than 78, and these 2 groups comprise all of them. Then the average could not have been 78, right? Same logic again, right? Now our objective is we need to maximize the number of students in this group. And this number of students is nothing but the weights when we talk of weighted average. And from your familiarity with alligation, or even I'll explain the logic here also, if we want to maximize this group's weight, it is going to pull the average closer to it. But let's say the average is fixed. When we say pull it closer to it, we are basically saying this distance here is going to be relatively small. This will be small relatively with respect to this distance, and this distance is going to be large, very large. When this distance is very large and this is very small, then this average turns out to be closer to A1 than to A2. A2 is very far. This one, it can seem that it has pulled the average towards it, right? And remember, these are relative. You could make this distance very, very large. Yeah, but if this distance also was very large, then still the average is in the middle and both the groups would have sort of equal weight. So when one group needs much higher weight, that distance should relatively be much small and the other distance, right? So this should be large, this small. Let's continue, right? So once you get this, it's very easy. If I want this distance to be as large as possible, then this tells me that I would want to put the average marks of those who passed as 100. And why I asked you to read the blog article is that you would have realized that when you're distributing marks, if someone has passed, I would rather give him 100 marks than give him anything less than 100. Okay, because and this distance being small, now this could be anything from 0 to 35, but if I keep it towards 0, relatively this is still larger compared to that. Could I make this even smaller? Yes, I could make this smaller by moving closer, as close to 78 as possible. But what can I do? I have to keep it less than 35. So I'll take 35. Okay, I know that 35 is not possible, but 34.99999 is possible. Less than 35 doesn't mean 34 students. Okay, so let me just take the calculation is 35. Once you have this, and all this could be have done in a jiffy, students, in 20 seconds flat. What took me 2 minutes probably to explain. And once you know this, now it's very simple. This distance 35 minus 78, that's 43. Write that 43 to this side. This distance is 22, write the distance to this side. This is the ratio of the weights for which this number will be maximized. So this is the ratio and we need the actual numbers. So the actual numbers of those who have failed would simply be 22 out of a total of 65 of the 38 students. There are total of these many, so these many students could have failed, right? I don't know how you would do this calculation. What I would do is I see a 565, so I'll double it, 130. So I'll double the numerator also. Let me multiply it first. 8 2s are 16, 1 carryover, 8 2s are 16, 16 and a 6, 22, 23, 2, 3 2s are 6, 8, let me double it up, 1672 divided by 130. Why I did this? Because 13 division is very easy. So when I divide by 13, 13 1s are 13, 13 2s are 26, 11, 13 8s are 108. 13 8s are 108? No. 13 level, I want to do 13 104. 13 8s are 104, 13 9s are 117. Yeah, so this is 13 8s are 104. So 12.8 can be the maximum number of students here. And what about this minus? It simply means it cannot be exactly 12.8, but it can be 12.799999. Anyway, that's a fraction. So my answer to this question, and number of students cannot be a fraction, so my answer is 12 students can maximum fail. And when this has become reduced from 12.8 to 12, the weight, it could have 12.8 students, but it's just 12. So some margin is there that instead of giving everyone 100, maybe I could have given someone less or so on, or instead of everyone getting 35, someone could even have got a 32 or a 33 or a 34, right? One student, I could adjust that. Anyway, this is the answer. So let me go ahead with another way. And the another way is this idea of all the 38 students have 78 marks. 78 marks. This is all the 38 students. So this is the meaning of average. One meaning of all of them are at 78. Now I want from these 38, I want to take some students and I want to give them marks which are less than 35. I want to put them into this end. Now, everyone is at 38. If 1% from 38 I make it to 37, for the average to remain at, from 78 if I make it to 77, my mistake, then for the average to still remain 78, some other student has to go from 78 to 79. So when I take some students and I put them less, then some students I would have to give them more marks so that the average remains. And whatever is the decrease in marks that I do here, I need to do the increase in marks on the other side as well. Simple. Now, I want to maximize the number of students here. more and more students I want to give on this end. So if I pick a student and I give it here, 78, let's say, I could have given him a 35 as a limiting case, that 34.999999. So I would have reduced it by 43 marks. So then I would have to increase here by 43 marks. But here, the maximum increase that I can go is only till 100. So I can't go beyond 100. So one student I go ahead and I give him till 100. So the increase is only 22. But I had decreased it by 43. So I still need to increase more. So another student also I will have to push him. So 22 and another 21. Right, will compensate this one guy. Now this one guy, if I would have given him all the way to 0, then the decrease would have been a 78 marks. Only one person was sent here to 0 marks. Then here I would have to increase by 78. So a guy 22, another guy 22, 44, a third guy 22, 66, and still one more guy, right? So why would I want to give a 0? I would not want to give a 0. I would want to give him only at this end. Hope you got the idea, right? So that is how I come to I would need this. So all three are linked up the method, students. You know, in the previous one in allegation, why is the average of the failed people 35 or 35 minus and not 0? That same logic is working here also. Why is the average of the past students 100 and why not 90, right? So we'll take one, so we'll take maximum. So let's say X students have been sent here. So the decrease in marks is X into 43. This much is the decrease that I have done. This much should be the increase that I will be doing. And the increase in each student's mark is 22. Now, what I'll be doing is, if X students have been failed, all the rest will have gone here. Now, why are we doing this all? Let's question that also. Why are we doing this all? If there is any student left here, let's say a group of students left here, then I would still continue the process from that group of students. Even let's say they are fraction from one student. Oh, then why don't I send 0.5 student here and a 0.5 student there? I could do that. Now here this will increase by 0.5 students. I know fractions are not allowed, but we are doing maths. Yeah, we'll take care of the fraction bit at the end. Right? 0.5 can't go. Obviously can't go because the distance here is 43 and the distance here is just 22. Okay, 0.3 students here and 0.7 students here, that would still increase this by 0.3, right? So all the students I would have sent either here or here. Right? Hence, this is the rest of the students, and this is the increase in marks. And if you understood the meaning of average, then you'll understand that these two are equal. So you could even have been very fast this way, students. Explaining takes a lot of time, but otherwise the solution is very well. So let's finish it. 43. This is a minus 22x comes this side. 65x is 38 into 22, and if you realize this is the same calculation that we did last time, so that is 12.8. we get that fraction bit that we were talking about. So the answer with the physical limitation of an integral number of students will be, this is the maximum, mind you. So while this is, you don't round it up, you cannot go beyond 12.8, right? So it has to be 12 only.